What's up, guys? Hopefully you had a good weekend, went out and ripped it up. I got great news today. Got my factory connection springs. I'm gonna talk about these springs really quick, and then I promise we're gonna jump right into installing them on the bike. But I had two options with springs. I could either go with Racetech springs or factory connection. And I ended up choosing factory connection because it comes in this nice yellow, which the Racetech does not. And also this was $10 cheaper, as well as the fork springs were $10 cheaper than Racetech's. But mostly it was because of the color. So for those of you that don't know, I'm replacing the rear shock spring on my CR250 because it failed. And I went ahead and got a heavier weight spring, front and rear. And that's what you're really gonna want for Supermoto, because the bikes are just going so much faster, and under hard braking, you really need some strong hold up with your springs. And the last thing about this is I was able to calculate what spring weights I need using Racetech's spring calculator on their website. For anyone who has questions about changing their spring rate on their motorcycle, whether they're too heavy for the spring rate, or they're a faster rider, or they're changing the application like motocross to Supermoto, I would recommend everyone use this spring calculator tool. And I'm gonna talk more about it later and show you guys how you can do it. So let's head on over to the bike and start tearing it down. So the only thing I can think is that my preload was down really far, maybe like about here. I don't know if that put a bunch of stress on the spring and made it deform or what happened, but if you guys have ever seen anything like this, comment below, because I am speechless. Anyways, it's time to get this piece of crap off and throw on this freshie. Dude, what? This is insane. Seriously, if anybody out there has seen this, comment below. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this shock up really nice and then install this new spring. Peace! This thing looks sexy. Cannot wait to put it in, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean this area up a little bit because it's pretty dirty too. If you haven't learned by now, I'm pretty picky about having my things clean. Also, I'm seeing a little bit of unburned gas in here, and I was complaining about that Honda HP2 oil, and as you can see, it's got some of that oil residue even in the carburetor. So I'll wipe that out, and I'm looking forward to switching over to a different oil, the Motul 800 series. That looks good enough to me. Awesome, so the shock spring is in, kickstand is working again, the bike is standing up normally, and I just need to reset my clickers and compression adjustments. I'm gonna do that later when I'm setting the sag for the rear. So next up, I'm gonna take the forks off, and then I'm just gonna be replacing the fork springs, putting the oil back in, and putting them back on the bike. Alright, got the forks off, and I'm ready to put the springs in now. There's two ways that you can do this. You can try to take the lower tube out and split the fork, keeping the oil inside, or you can do it the simple way like I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna drain the oil from the top outer tubes. We're gonna crack the lock nut, and then I'm gonna pull the dampening rod with the springs out. Replace it with these new springs, put them back in, lock it up, put them back on the bike. And actually this job is turning out to be pretty easy, and I think that almost anyone could do this with some basic tools, maybe an hour for the rear, an hour for the front. Hard part is now done, and I'm just gonna go ahead and clean everything up again before I put it back together. Here's the old spring, here's the new spring. This is a 0.49. This, I believe, was a 0.47. Here's my old fork oil, which I'm gonna just reuse because it's only had, I don't know, maybe an hour, hour and a half of use. And as you can see, it's still in pretty good shape. 1, 2, 3, clean. Bam, look at that. Okay, this fork is all done, and the last thing I need to do is just reset the compression and the rebound on the adjusters. I'm gonna go ahead and switch the spring out on the other fork, and then I'll be doing that. Whew, finally done. Got the fork springs changed, rear shock spring is in, sag is set. I adjusted all the clickers on front and rear, and it's ready to rip. I don't think the yellow spring looks quite as good as the gold did, but it's still pretty close match to the rest of the bike. Okay guys, we are about to go test ride the bike now. But before I do that, as promised, I want to show you guys the Retnik spring calculator tool. If you don't care about this, you can just skip ahead to the part where I ride. But you're going to go to racetech.com. On the side over here, you're going to click on spring rate search. Then you're going to pick your motorcycle, Honda. Pick your model of motorcycle, CR250R, and pick your year, 2003. Now this is going to pull up the information for your vehicle, and it talks about some of the setup with it, some of the problems that it's known to have, and it's also going to tell you what your stock spring rate is. So here it's 0.43 kg, and the rear shock spring is 4.9 kg. So now we're going to click on calculate spring rates, and you're going to pick your application. You have basically every one you could think of. I'm going to pick Supermoto, my age up to 29. I chose the A class skill level. Standard stiffness, standard height, standard gas tank, and my weight is 165 pounds. Press enter. And now it's going to give you the recommended spring rates. So in the front, you want 0.49 kg, and in the rear, you're going to want 5.37 kg, or the closest available. So I have a 0.49 in the front, and a 5.4 in the rear. There's a lot more information on this, you guys, but I'm not going to get into any more of it. I highly recommend you guys check it out if you're interested in springs. Oh man, look at this beast. Ready to go. Give you guys a quick look before I take it out. Man, so sick. Okay guys, so this is just gonna be a little cruise. I thought it would be cool for you guys to see the bike riding at night and see how the lights work. I'm definitely gonna take it very easy because I wanna see how this suspension reacts with all the changes I just did. All right. So right away I can feel the suspension is stiffer. definitely doesn't have a light. Oh my God! It's so much better! Man, this feels so good. It's crazy. I'll tell you guys about it later. Let's get us back home first. Wow, just wow. The suspension right now feels stiffer, even with all my clickers adjusted softer than where they were before with the original stock springs. So now I have them set more at a middle setting around what the stock would be just with heavier springs. So definitely the springs make it a lot stiffer. It feels amazing. At high speeds, this bike is just so much more comfortable and predictable. It just doesn't have much shake. Going into corners is very settled. It's incredible. I haven't revalved it yet, and I might take it to somebody for that. But right now, just with changing the fork springs and using heavier weight oil in the front shock, it's incredible. This bike probably could run at a track right now. I will say doing wheelies feels a lot more scary now because I guess the rear is just much stiffer, and so when I was getting up on the rear wheel it just felt super tight and very touchy, so I'll have to work on my wheelies again. But man, I am one happy CR250 Supermoto owner right now. This thing is just a bat out of hell. Unbelievable to ride. That's gonna do it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it and this helps some people out there if they want to stiffen up their dirt bike, or for a Supermoto conversion this will work. Guarantee it. So hit that like button for me. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more videos on this bike. I'm still finishing out all the little details, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.